Hello. Now today I want us to go through fire prevention and awareness measures. So the first part is about fire safety. Essential since we come across a lot of challenges in our day-to-day lives. Now, how how fire risks are assessed in our communities. Number one, you identify the threats, which involves all the activities, asking questions and filling worksheets, walking around the community premises, checking data and manufacturers. Secondly, you determine of the people who may be affected. We can say that the sole purpose of offering protection to the vulnerable community against the perils of fire. Thirdly, that way of which fire risks are assessed is identification of hazards and preventive measures. So this entails involving the final assessment of the magnitude of risk and activating the regulatory standards. So we go to our next subpart. You determine the neighborhood with the highest fire risk in our community. So what we do in this, you use data from emergency response services, maybe the firefighters. Secondly, you use GIS or other specialized global software mapping tools in order to plot the areas with the highest likelihood of the risk in your community. Third, you also determine the data from the neighborhoods and recent house risk from maybe the local department and then a government organization or even the local authorities. Now, there is also the steps in conducting community partnerships. Number one, you go through the connecting with community leaders. You ensure that the community leaders have the same mindset. That means as you are setting this objective, that there is nobody else who is against your objective or against your target. Number two, you define and prioritize the prevention goals. So what do you do in this? You ensure that the community leaders and the community are on the same lane, and the goal is clear to building partnership and transparency. Thirdly, we are going to check on intervention strategies for the busiest neighborhoods identified risks. Now in this, what you do, you only consider of all the fire perils, i.e., what am I trying to say? In this, we are saying that you identify of the equipments that can cause these types of menaces, like the cooking or heating or welding equipments, the fuel and oxygen, among other things. Secondly, you ensure that the buildings are up to code. This means that they are resistive and uncombustible. Thirdly, regularly inspect equipment and buildings in the community. Okay, you make sure that after a certain period of time you inspect, you check for servicing, yeah, across all the buildings. Fourth, you building consciousness in the community, and you offer training and prevention measures so that at least to sensitize on these prevention tactics and tools. Now, how to implement these strategies? First, you coordinate with the fire safety program. Secondly, you provide safety advice virtually. Maybe you can do this through mobile phones or face to face. Thirdly, you can offer fire safety educational packages to members of the community. Fourth, you can monitor and adopt reviews and send relevant reports to stakeholders. Also, you can ensure that all fire hazards are taken care of to prevent fire instances. Also, ensure buildings are fire resistant and non-combustive. Now, what are the benefits of evaluating the results of this intervention? Number one, prevention of unintended injuries and deaths. You also, there is a decline in loss of property. Also, prevention strategies will reduce. Also, the causes of forest fires will also reduce, and the safety behaviors of likelihoods will also improve. Now, in conclusion, what do we say? Fire hazards should be fully identified and mitigated to prevent these infernos causing deaths and loss of property. Secondly, These fire safety programs and policies should be made readily available and aware to everybody in the community. Fourth, the strategic measures should be adopted to prevent the likelihood of fires occurring. Lastly, buildings should be constructed to be fireproof, and the building code should also be followed according to the guidelines given by the government or the county governments. This should be strictly adhered to. Also, it is essential for you as a student to have the hazard assessment and inferno safety. You can check into it.
Hello.
Also, the
Hope you're doing well.
develop the community
Now today I
partnerships,
would like us to
create a
go
strategy,
to measures
implement
and
strategies, evaluate
and
the results.
methods of preventing
that's it
fires
for
in our
this
community.
Thank
We
you.
know fire safety is essential, not only for us, but also for our surroundings. Okay, now there are various risks and how they are assessed in our community. So we are going to ask ourselves